Shalom Aleichem, Parsha Maasei. These are the journeys of the children of Israel that they left Egypt. The Torah goes through and delineates in detail 42 stops in great detail. They left Ramses, they came to Sukkot. They left Sukkot, they came here. They left here, they came to here. And the question is, why? In a book that is very precise and concise, why would we repeat all the 42 journeys? Plus, we already know them because they were all recorded upon in real time when they happened. Throughout the books of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, as they journeyed, the Torah tells us where they came. Why recount it? And really everything is in triplicates. I mean, this is the journeys. They went from A, they rested in B. They journeyed from B, they rested in C. The Hasidic masters tell us that this represents the journey of the Jewish people, not just from Egypt to the Promised Land, but throughout history. A journey that began with Exodus, when we became a nation, all the way through all the exiles until Mashiach comes. And these 42 journeys hint to things that will happen to the Jewish people throughout history. Not only collectively as a people, but to each individual as well. The Torah is given to the Jewish people, and it's given to each and every Jew. And therefore, the mystics would argue that if you open up that book and examine the journey of your life, you will find all 42 steps playing out in real time. And for example, some of the particular stops we can relate to. There's a city called Mara, bitterness, because the water was bitter. There's times in our lives, pretty much every person, when they go to that place of bitterness. There's another city called Miska, sweetness, because the water historically was sweetened up. There's a time in the life of every single person when they spend some time in the place of sweetness. There's a place called Kivrot HaTava, the burial of those who were overindulgent, because that's where the Jews asked for the meat, and it came out of their noses and it destroyed them. There's a time in our lives where people go through where they think that's going to be the answer to their happiness, to overindulge, and all it does is self-destruct. We all spent some time in Kivrot HaTava, that ugly space, etc., etc. Every one of those places, until we come to the Jordan of Jericho, the Promised Land. And the Torah goes through enumerating every one of those details because it's the story of each of our journeys. The Torah wants us to know, human nature is we look at our journey in life and we say, so many of these stops were unnecessary. So many of these stops were detours. They were a waste of time. I wish I could undo it. How unfortunate is it that I had to spend so many stops along the way that I wish I could have bypassed. Maybe I spent 10 years in a meaningless relationship that didn't pan out, or a financial journey that was a waste, or a belief system that was not okay. Or maybe I started to embrace Torah in my 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, and I look back and I say, would have, should have, could have, and I wish I could rewrite the script of my journey, feeling that somehow, this was a waste. Says the Torah, that's not true. You need to know every journey of your life, all 42 of them, is written in the book. Every step in life, including those stops along the way, including those cards that we have in our deck, our proverbial deck that we wish we can change in, it's all part of the journey leading us to the Promised Land, because each one of us has our own Promised Land, each have our own redemption, our own personal journey that we're meant to overcome. And therefore, there's no bypassing it. There's no need to regret it. Of course, we learn from the past, but we keep on moving forward and grow from it and know there are no mistakes. Every single one of the steps of our journey, the things that happened to us, the things that we messed up by our own misdeeds, the whole kit and caboodle, it's written in the book. It was meant to be exactly the way it was. Don't look back. Learn from it and grow from it. But understand that that is part of your journey, and it's just another step forward. The Rebbe told a colleague of mine, Rabbi Aaron Leizer of righteous and blessed memory, he went into a private audience with the Rabbi, and he delineated a lot of mistakes that he made in his youth. I don't know how old he was at the time of the story. Let's assume he was in his 20s. And in his mind, he'd done a lot of bad things and made mistakes. And, this was the tradition of Chassidim, to write to the Rebbe all the fine-tuning that they felt they needed and that they messed up and missed out. And he expected the Rebbe to give him what's called a tikkun in Hasidic lingo, a correction for each one of those things. And the Rebbe looked at him after he read the note, and the Rebbe said, "The shlichus in Yiddish, the shlichus my neshama of der Welt is auf den Heiver und dem Asid, nicht auf den Avar." Translation: the mission of my soul on this earth is for the present and for the future, not for the past. What is the Rebbe saying? Does the past not matter? Are we not meant to learn from the past? Is it to be erased? Of course not. To the contrary, what the Rebbe is saying is, my mission as the Rebbe of this generation is to point out to you, run with whatever you have. It's all part of providence. Your guidance, your focus should be where we go from here, not where we went before, and the mistakes, including the things that we did to ourselves. Keep on moving. You have journeys to accomplish, and everything, including the detours, are there on your path to the promised land. Hence the Torah delineates all 42 steps. They're all pivotal. They're all crucial. They all make you who you are. And if you read commentary, and you read the text, rather, of this week's portion, you find out that there's another mention of the number 42 in this portion. Yes, there's the 42 journeys at the beginning of the portion of Maasei. But then later on in the same portion, 42 comes up again. Where is it? It's in the 42 additional sub-cities that were provided as city of refuge. Torah talks in great detail at the end of this portion about the 6 cities of refuge that are set up in cases of manslaughter. Somebody could run away if they killed someone accidentally, what have you. They can run away to the 6 cities of refuge and be protected. But then on top of that, there's another 42 shtetlach, little sublets, little cities or suburban areas that also served as cities of refuge. What's the meaning? Like, why 6 and 42? And what do these numbers represent? Spiritually, city of refuge is where a person runs because they killed someone accidentally. Spiritually, this represents sin, killing accidentally, lack of life, disconnect from Hashem, what have you. These are forms of death in a sense. It's all accidental, though, because deep down we all want to do the right thing. And the animal soul, the Yetzer Hara, the little voice we all know about, the bad guy within, gets the better of us at times. It's accidental. So we need the refuge. Says the Torah, there are 6 cities of refuge and 42 more. Listen to this. It's mapped out in the Shema. The 6 words of the first verse of the Shema, and then the 42 words of the V'ahavta. How perfect is that? And the Chassidic masters tell us the 6 words of the Shema representing the 6 cities of refuge. You know what they represent? They represent the 6 constant mitzvot. Of the 613, there are 6 that are constant. Love God, fear God, faith. Don't let your eyes and heart take you astray, etc. 6 mitzvahs. Let's call it the basic mitzvahs of faith. There's a God, I have a purpose. Let's do this. 6 constant mitzvahs. They represent cities of refuge because they protect us from that spiritual accidental manslaughter, from that losing our way to the voice that tries to dreh us a cup and hack us in chinik. And therefore they are represented in that verse, the 6 words, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, the Lord is one, everything is Hashem. The 6 basic mitzvahs of faith, they are the guiding light for a Jew. Stay focused, keep yourself in a place of refuge, don't let yourself get tzimish, tzikachel, and tzibroch. But then there's another 42. As spelled out in the V'ahavta, as spelled out in the Torah portion, the 42 little cities that were additional cities of refuge. What's that about? Well, in the context of our discussion, those 42 words of the V'ahavta, those 42 cities, additional cities of refuge, they mirror the 42 journeys that are discussed at the beginning of the Torah portion. So if the 6 words of the Shema represent the pivotal elements of faith, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. You're kidding me? 6 mitzvahs that represent that it's all about Hashem. The 42 words of the V'ahavta represent B'shiftecha b'veitecha, as you sit in your home and you travel on the way, and as you come and as you go, and as you stand by your gates and by your doors. Real life. The 42 journeys of life, the 42 journeys really proverbially of every day. And those too serve as cities of refuge. Translation, those too represent supports to the Jew to stay focused and to stay strong when he or she recognizes that all of those journeys are part of the mission, part of the journey. There are no accidents. And even as they're in shul and focusing on Shema and saying Modani, they're connected with the mission and the focus and the message, and almost equally, they're out there shopping in the local supermarket or going about their business or doing their job or whatever, a hobby. They're finding Hashem there too. And all of that becomes a refuge because it's all part of the picture of serving Hashem with joy and positivity. Shabbat Shalom.